Story time with Pastor Bob coming up ahead on Pastor Bob's Coffee Break. The joy of the Lord is my strength. And that's the latest mug, the latest poster, the latest t-shirt. You can find them all on our website, but also the best coffee in the world, Headbangers Brew. It's our own coffee in ground and whole bean, and we're soon to make some announcements about this that you're going to be excited about. And we have, can I just show you, because I love these. It's time for travel for a lot of people. And we have these travel containers. They're 22 ounces. They're vacuum packed. They're double sealed. You can keep things warm in here all day, and hot or cold. And one of them is this one. Both of them are our We Are Metal, We Are Family logos. And these are awesome. And you'll find them in the store along with a lot of great stuff. wearemetalwearefamily.com, and of course the proceeds go to help our homeless friends. So, well, folks, it's exciting to tell this story. The story of the joy of the Lord is my strength. And we started on it at the beginning of the week as we began to tell the story of Nehemiah. And Nehemiah in the Bible records a very specific part in history. And I just want to tell you the story today, and I'm leaving some details out, but I want to get to the guts of it. And during the month, we'll kind of refer back to it, and we'll talk about different aspects of the story. But suffice it to say that the city is in ruin. Jerusalem is not doing real well. And our friend Nehemiah goes to the king, and he's the cupbearer for the evening. And he goes to the king, and he takes in his evening wine and whatever. And the the king says, so basically, why the long face? Are you sick? Are you depressed? What's going on with you? And Nehemiah says, this is the land of my ancestors. They're buried here. We fought for things, and now here we are in ruins, and nobody's doing anything about it, basically. The king says, what do you want to do? And he said, I want to go rebuild it, basically. The king says, okay, to his surprise. And so Nehemiah gets a letter from the king, gets gets his permission to use all the wood from the king's forest, and they begin to rebuild. And I mean major rebuild. There are families and tribes that are rebuilding different parts of the wall, and they build and they build and they build, and it took them a while, a few months. And during this time, some of their enemies are trying to scare them into stopping, trying to, continue to keep them as, well, downtrodden. And during this time, they had lost a lot of things. Their taxes were so high they couldn't pay it. People had come in and bought up a bunch of their land, so they didn't even feel like they had ownership. And there were so many things going on. And the whole time, what seemed like an impossible thing, Nehemiah kept saying, but our God is going before us. He will do this. And so they kept going and kept going. And every time they would get discouraged, Nehemiah would say, God's on our side. Don't get discouraged. And don't be intimidated by those people that are trying to charge you taxes and trying to scare you into being slaves again and all of this. And then when the wall was rebuilt, when they finished it. And this is a major thing. And people started coming back who were scattered, and God had promised that he would scatter them if they didn't obey him, but he'd also bring them back if they decided to follow him again. So he does. 50,000 people, basically. And the first thing they do, as we talked about before, is that they open up the word of Moses, the Pentateuch, basically, and they begin to read. And it says that the people stood when the book was first opened because they had reverence. They saw what God had done with them in rebuilding this huge wall. And then when they heard the words, they fell on their faces and worshiped God. And then they started to cry for many reasons. Probably one of the reasons was it was just a breath of fresh air. And also they were mourning for all this time that had been lost and all of these things. And then Nehemiah says, don't cry. Don't cry. Stand. Stand and celebrate. Have some great food and have some sweet, something sweet to drink and celebrate together. He says, because the joy of the Lord is our strength. That's where we stand. Isn't that great? And major turnaround in our history, in our ancestry as Christians. So we're going to go back to the story from time to time this month. That's some good nectar right there, too. And we're going to talk more and more about the joy of the Lord is my strength. But folks, there's so many parallels, and I'm not going to get political here. And I'm not going to say, well, this wall and the wall of the United States and all this stuff, because that isn't really relevant. The relevant thing is that following God is always important. Realizing that we can do all things through Christ who gives us strength. Realizing that we need to take things back that have been destroyed, and realizing that just because there are people around us who keep intimidating, who keep bringing a message that isn't true, reporters who keep reporting things that are not true and failing to report things that are, just because all of that is happening doesn't mean that God is not on the throne and that he's in control. And I just believe, folks, that if we follow this message, if we realize that the joy of the Lord is our strength, and I said before, that's what I have tattooed in 4 languages on my arms, the only scripture I have on my arms, actually. And I have the same scripture in 4 languages, the joy of the Lord is my strength there, from Nehemiah. It's because it's important, and it's always been important to me. The story of Nehemiah, but the principle of joy, and the principle of joy following the Lord. So I hope this is an encouragement to you this month as we go through this. It's going to be a great month. I've got a lot of things to share, and I want you to get ready for some joy and some change. Don't forget, we have called this year Revolution 2021, the revolution of love. And I believe God is bringing a revolution now. Get ready. We are blessed, folks. And you are blessed. So don't forget to go and be a blessing.